My name is Wendy Thomas. I'm 29 years old. I'm a registered nurse. Let her go. We're not paying for another surgery. That's what my father told the surgeon while I was lying in a coma, tube down my throat, ribs crushed, heartbeat flickering like a weak signal. He didn't say it like a man losing his child. He said it like a man canceling a service at 11:18 p.m. on a Tuesday. He signed a Do Not Resuscitate order, not because the doctor said I couldn't make it, because the billing office gave him a number. And when I woke up 3 weeks later, bruised and broken, barely able to lift my head, I found out the DNR wasn't even the worst thing he did while I was unconscious. Because in the next 24 hours, I did something that didn't just save me, it collapsed him. And he never saw it coming, because he forgot one thing about me. I know exactly how paperwork works. Before I go on, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if the story hits you. Now let me take you back 7 months earlier, to the day my grandmother died, and everything started unraveling. I was born with a hole in my heart. The cardiologist called it a ventricular septal defect. I was 4 years old when they opened my chest. The surgery took 11 hours. The bill took my parents 20 years to stop talking about. Well, my mother stopped talking about it. My father never did. You know how much you cost this family? He snapped the first time when I was 8. I'd asked for new sneakers. Mine were cracked, and rain soaked my socks. He didn't even look up from the pile of medical bills. $214,000, he said. That's what you cost. No sneakers. By 12, I stopped asking for things. By 15, I was babysitting half the street so I could buy my own school supplies. By 18, I signed student loans alone while my older sister Meredith packed for the state university our parents paid for in full. Nobody questioned it. Meredith got a car at 16. I rode the bus. Meredith got restaurant dinners for birthdays. I got box cake and a card signed by my mother only. And here's the part people don't understand. I wasn't angry back then. I truly believed I owed them. Because when you hear the same sentence your whole life, you cost us everything. It becomes a fact in your bones. The only person who never treated me like a bill was my grandmother. Lillian Price lived alone in a little brick house on Elm Street in Norristown, Pennsylvania. 2 bedrooms, a porch swing that squeaked in the wind, a garden she protected like it was a living thing. After nursing school, drowning in debt, I started visiting her every Saturday, 40 minutes each way. Groceries, blood pressure checks, tea, silence, love. She'd ask me the same 2 questions every time. Did you eat today? And how's your heart, sweetheart? Near the end, hands shaking. Voice soft. She said something I didn't understand. I took care of things for you, Wendy. When the time comes, a man named Kessler will find you. I smiled and squeezed her hand. I thought she was confused, but she wasn't. My father hated that I visited her. You're wasting gas, he'd say. She doesn't even remember you. That was a lie. Lillian, 3 days after that Sunday, my father was officially charged. Forgery in the 3rd degree. Fraud. Mortgage fraud. The detective assigned to the case called me personally. Miss Thomas, we have the original forged POA, the notary statement, and bank filings. It's solid. Solid. Such a small word for something that cracked a family open. The notary, Carl, folded first. He admitted my father brought him the document already signed. He admitted he didn't witness the signature. He admitted he knew it was wrong. And just like that, my father lost the one person who could have backed his story. He took a plea deal within 2 weeks. No prison time. 5 years probation. Full restitution. Public record. He stood in a courtroom instead of a church. And this time there was no microphone to control. When the judge asked, "Do you understand the charges?" my father said, "Yes, Your Honor." When the judge asked, "How do you plead?" he said, "Guilty." The word echoed differently than his sermons ever had. You'd think that would be the end. But it wasn't, because when Kessler reviewed everything connected to my estate and employment records, he found one more signature. 3 years earlier, my life insurance beneficiary had been changed. From Deborah to Gerald Thomas. My signature was on it. I never signed it. That meant something simple. If the DNR had held, if Deborah hadn't arrived, if Pat hadn't looked, my father wouldn't just have saved money. He would have profited. When the insurance investigator called me, her voice was calm but clipped. "Miss Thomas, we're opening a fraud review." My father didn't fight that one. He surrendered the claim before charges expanded. He knew the walls were closing. Meredith called again. This time she didn't cry. She sounded tired. "I moved out," she said quietly. "From Dad's?" "Yes." Silence stretched between us. "I didn't know about the insurance policy," she added. "I believe you," I said. That was true. There are different levels of guilt. She had been weak. He had been predatory. There's a difference. I keep thinking about Grandma's letter, she said. You are too much like your father. Choose differently. Are you? I asked. She exhaled slowly. I'm trying. That's all she had. Trying. It wasn't forgiveness. But it wasn't nothing. The mortgage lender didn't go quietly. They wanted their $280,000. The court voided the deed transfer, which meant the mortgage had been issued against stolen property, which meant the bank couldn't legally hold me responsible. But they could go after him. They did. He sold his house. It wasn't enough. He liquidated retirement accounts. Still not enough. The debt followed him like a shadow. And for the first time in his life, he couldn't charm it away. I didn't return to that church for 3 months. When I finally did, it was on a quiet Wednesday evening. No crowd. No microphone. Just me in the sanctuary. Pastor David found me sitting in the 3rd pew. I owe you an apology, he said gently. For what? For believing someone's performance for so long. I shook my head. That wasn't your job. It was mine. He nodded slowly. We removed him as deacon unanimously. I know. Your grandmother would have been proud. That almost broke me, because that was the only opinion that mattered. When the deed officially returned to my name, I drove to Norristown alone. No Deborah, no lawyer, just me. The porch swing still creaked. The garden was wild now, weeds tangled with roses. Inside, the house felt smaller than I remembered. But warmer. Lavender still lingered in the drawers. I walked from room to room slowly. This wasn't just property. This was proof. Proof that someone believed I deserved stability. I opened the kitchen drawer and found one last envelope I hadn't seen before. It was empty, except for a sticky note in my grandmother's handwriting. For when you finally breathe easy. That was it. No lecture, no drama. Just trust. I sat at the kitchen table and realized something. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. The final time my father called, it wasn't angry. It wasn't defensive. It was quiet. I never hated you, he said. I didn't respond immediately. I know, I said finally. You were just expensive. There it was, the truth stripped of drama. I was 4 years old, I said calmly. I didn't send the invoice. Silence. I don't expect forgiveness, he said. That's good, I replied. Because forgiveness isn't automatic. It's earned, and some things don't earn their way back. Before he hung up, he asked one question. Are you happy? I looked around the little brick kitchen, at sunlight hitting the counter, at lavender in the air, at a house that no longer felt like a battleground. Yes, I said. And this time, it wasn't performance. It was fact. Here's the part nobody tells you about boundaries. They don't feel powerful at first. They feel terrifying. You shake. You second-guess yourself. You wonder if you're the villain, but then something shifts. And you realize you weren't destroying someone. You were removing yourself from being destroyed. I don't hate my father. Hate would mean he still controls something inside me. He doesn't. He's a man who made desperate choices because he couldn't admit his own failures. That explains him. It doesn't excuse him. There's a difference. I still work at St. Catherine's. Day shifts now. Pat still calls me Thomas like nothing dramatic ever happened. Deborah is still my emergency contact, and she always will be. I attend a different church. Smaller, quieter, better coffee. I sit in the front row, not because I need to be seen, but because I'm done hiding in the back. And every time I hear someone talk about sacrifice and family, I smile slightly, because I know the difference between sacrifice and control now. If you see yourself anywhere in this story, in the guilt, in the silence, in the belief that you owe people who hurt you, hear this clearly. You do not owe anyone your health. You do not owe anyone your